drama. These texts are not only literary works but also repositories of physiology, philosophy, ethics, science, and social values. Much of this knowledge was transmitted through oral tradition, ensuring continuity across the generation. Literature in Indian knowledge system plays a crucial role in shaping moral consciousness, preserving cultural identity, and guiding the human life. The next comes the Vastu Shastra. Within the Indian knowledge system, in the traditional science of architecture and spatial design that aims to create harmony between human life and natural environment. Its influence expands beyond the building construction, shaping how people live, work, and interact with the space. The various factors which we consider are harmony with nature. Vastu is based on aligning the structure with five elements, that is Panchabhutas: earth, water, fire, air, space. Orientation of building considers sunlight, wind flow, and energy balance. This has influenced the modern concept of climate responsive and sustainable architecture. The second one is scientific planning of spaces. It provides guidelines on room placement, like kitchen, bathroom, entrance, etc. Directional alignment, ventilation, and lighting. These are the principles which ensures efficient use of space, natural lighting, and the thermal comfort, now widely adopted in eco-friendly designs. The next one is psychological and well-being impact. Vastu emphasizes on open spaces, proper airflow, and balanced layout. This contributes to mental peace, reduced stress, and improved productivity, aligning with modern environmental psychology. The next one is influence on temple architecture. Ancient temples were designed using the Vastu principles, precise geometry and symmetry, aligned with cosmic directions, use of scared proportions, which reflects a deep connection between the architecture, spirituality, and cosmic order. The next one is integration with modern architecture. Today, Vastu principles are incorporated in residential and commercial buildings, considered in urban planning and interior design. It has influenced the rise of holistic and wellness-oriented living spaces globally. The last comes the cultural and global impact. Vastu has inspired practices like sanctuary comparisons, that is the Chinese Vastu, global interest in energy-based design systems, demand for Vastu compliant homes, especially in India and abroad. The Indian knowledge system represents a timeless integration of science, art, philosophy, and sustainability, offering holistic solution to modern challenges. Through the disciplines like dance, music, literature, and Vastu Shastra, it emphasizes harmony between human life, nature, and built environment. In today's context, these traditional principles continue to influence well-being, ethical decision-making, sustainable development, and create expressions. The relevance of Indian knowledge system lies in its ability to adapt and evolve, bridging ancient wisdom with contemporary needs. The knowledge system is not merely a heritage to preserve, but a dynamic framework for building the balanced sustainability and meaningful future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Archana as Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, to kindly deliver the words of thanks. Ma'am, over to you.
Good afternoon, esteemed speaker and dear participants. I take this opportunity to propose a sincere vote of thanks for this insightful online FDP on integrated green construction and life cycle assessment. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Suhas Nair S, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, Jyothi Engineering College, for his engaging session on the Indian knowledge system, where he highlighted traditional foods used for pitas, traditional dance forms, Indian music, Indian literature, the principles of Vastu Shastra, and the role of yoga in holistic living. His talk thoughtfully connected sustainable practice with our rich cultural heritage. I also thank the organizers and the participants for making this program a meaningful success. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss. Now, we move on to our next session. It is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Surya M. Nair, Assistant Professor in Civil Engineering. She is currently pursuing her PhD in Civil Engineering from Karuni Institute of Technology and Science, Coimbatore, and holds an MTech in Structural Engineering. She is an IGBC accredited professional and a chartered structural engineer with around 6 years of combined teaching and industrial experience. Her research interests include photogrammetry, concrete technology, GIS, water quality analysis, and digital twins, with several publications in reputed Scopus indexed journals. Today, she will be handling a session on Indian knowledge system, shelter, and water. We are happy to have her with us. Ma'am, I warmly invite you to take over the session. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, JFMS, for a wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Here I am with yet another session. Mr. Suhas Nair has given you a wonderful introduction towards the Indian knowledge system. I'll be focusing on two main topics, that is shelter and design. I hope the slides are visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
So my today's topic will mainly deal with the traditional wisdoms in shelter and water. And first, let me start with shelter. It's a topic that goes far beyond the buildings. It's more about sustainability, culture, and philosophy. Let me begin this session with a timeless thought. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Nirmaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhagavat. What does this mean? May all be happy, may all be free from illness, and may all see what is auspicious, and may no one suffer. This is not just a prayer, but this is the very foundation of Indian shelter design. A house in Indian tradition was never just a structure. It was a space designed for well-being, harmony, and balance. Are the slides moving?
Yes, miss.
Now, if we go for the modern constructions, today's buildings are heavily dependent upon the artificial system. Now we have air conditions, artificial lightings, and so many energy-intensive materials. But without all these technologies also, we had shelters earlier days. Traditional Indian architecture completely followed a different approach. Now, the buildings those days were designed by harnessing the local materials, by carefully attracting the solar orientation and wind patterns, bioresources, and creating energy efficient and climate responsive homes that were rooted in the ancient science of Vastu Shastra. The idea of those days of a shelter was very simple. It was never meant to fight nature. Just work with the nature, make maximum use of our nature without exploiting the same. In Indian tradition, the very basic of shelter or even a construction is often considered as a sacred act. Now, there is a belief that Lord Vishwakarma was considered as a divine architect who said to have designed celestial cities like Dwaraga, and those, rather than stories, were olden days town planning technologies. Also, those designs were not just technical. It always carried some ethical and spiritual responsibility. This is why even today we perform Bhumi Puja before we start any kind of construction. It is to be considered rather scientific. What does this mean? Bhumi Puja simply means we are respecting the land, understanding the soil, and acknowledging the environmental impacts. Now, moving on to the principles of traditional Indian architecture, everything was focused upon five sacred elements, that is, earth, water, fire, air, and space. Now, we can see that earlier days, we never had any kind of artificial fans, fittings, or air conditioned systems. Still, those traditional homes were well ventilated. How was this possible? The movement of the sun, as well as the westerly and easterly winds, were carefully studied. Most of the walls were kept in the east and north side of the building, so that as the sun moves from east to west, the maximum amount of daylighting can be obtained. West was always treated as a heat absorbing side, and hence a fewer number of openings were kept on those areas. All the buildings were designed to exploit to the maximum the topography that is offered by the nature, rather than destroying the balance and creating an entire set of level land for the construction. Grid designs were worked out and not against landscape. Traditional buildings were selected with certain climate resilience methods, such that they have withstood great floods and earthquakes. Now, building onto the traditional system, Government of India has launched several ambitious programs like Smart City Mission to develop new generation cities that are energy efficient and offer public services that are low carbon intensive and energy sustainable living. We have National Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana that has been launched to bring together urban planning, economic growth, and heritage conservation in an inclusive manner. Now, let's see how each region has selected the materials or the construction technologies based on the traditional wisdom. First, moving to the northern side in the Jammu Kashmir and Himalayan region, which are earthquakes, which are coming under earthquake zone 4 and 5, we had earthquake resilient construction methods. High stone plinths were considered, which were constructed using dry rust masonries. They actually helps in absorbing the vibration energy and reducing the seismic impact. The walls were made up of earth as well as the mud walls, and they provided good insulation and built with minimal processed materials. Flat timber roofs, which were made up of twigs on wooden beams and joists, were locally derived and unprocessed energy efficient. These structures in Upper Kinnaur, Lahore, Spiti, and Ladakh demonstrate indigenous adaptation to the extreme terrain. Coming to the south, we have Nalagittu, the self-sustaining Kerala mansions. An open courtyard will be provided at the center where the sunlight is allowed to enter in abundance. The clear central sky open with tulsi often acted as a place where family can come together for the religious purposes. These structures were often provided with tile roofs, efficiently draining the heavy rainfall during Kerala's 3 to 5 months monsoon season. They were self-contained with tanks, granaries, cowsheds, kitchen, gardens, and coconut groves. The entire structure used to maintain thermal comfort without any kind of mechanical system. This was indeed a climate-responsive design that was perfected centuries ago. Coming to Gujarat, they had pole houses in Ahmedabad. 360 poles are already there still in Ahmedabad Pole, densely packed, socially cohesive, and they are self-sufficient community settlement. The rainwaters are harvested from the rooftops and filtered through charcoal, lime, and pebble into the storage tanks. Overhanging Haveli balconies cast shadows on the street below, cooling the commuters naturally. They had a concealed drainage system, part still in use today, and each pole was provided with sanitation, climatic control, and religious spaces. In the South Indian region, we had half-barrel houses or Toda houses. In Toda houses, they were unique semi-barrel shaped houses. The first one has been named wrongly. Sorry for that. These are the Toda houses, not Pearl Academy. They're made with bamboo and grass with small entrances. Now, these provided main warmth and protection. Simple yet highly efficient, and it is seen in the Nilgiri plateaus. In Rajasthan, I would like to share a good example of how the traditional ideas have influenced modern design. They have a Pearl Academy building. It has courtyards, shaded spaces, and thermal mass to keep the building cool. The interior stays 20 degrees Celsius than outside, using stepwell inspired water pool, jali screens, raised pillars, heat absorbing walls, and no artificial cooling is needed. In Assam and Arunachal region, you can see Chang houses. These are the houses that are stilted on bamboos, raised at a height of 1.5 to 2 meter above the ground. Now they provide excellent flood resilience with woven bamboo walls, sloping roofs, and canals stored below for emergencies. In India, we can see that the traditional wisdoms are being adopted to the modern expressions. We can see CIA, Confederation of Indian Industries, Sorabji Godrej Center in Hyderabad is India's first platinum rated building based on Panjabhuda's belief. That is, what is derived from nature returns to it. Now, Government of India has smart city and Pradai missions that are integrating urban planning, heritage conservation, and low carbon public services. We have eco-sick gurudwaras in Punjab, pioneering in renewable energy, water conservation, waste reduction, and organic food, with Amritsar becoming the first green pilgrim city. Living in harmony. Another beautiful concept in Indian shelter system was the shelters were not always meant for human beings. They were symbols of coexistence. In Gujarat, there are structures called as chabutras, which were built to feed birds. Now think about it. Even in urban design, space was created for other living beings. Hindu, Muslim, Jain, as well as all kind of traditions, there is projecting values of non-violence and coexistence. We have to understand something that is very important. Ancient wisdoms are not outdated. They are timeless, and there are things that we can adopt still. Now, I would like to share a very important ancient thought here. Madha Bhumi Putro Aham Prithvi. The earth is my mother and I am her child. If we truly believe this, would we construct the building that can harm environment? This is a very basic question that we need to answer in Indian knowledge system. The modern world often leads to environmental degradation, high energy consumption, and loss of cultural identity. The traditional system can definitely help us to show a different path, a path that is sustainable, resilient, and deeply connected with nature. As engineers and architects, our responsibility is not to reject the modern technology, not to reject the traditional wisdom, but integrate it well. Because true sustainability, it is not about the advancement of technology alone. It's about understanding nature and respecting it and working in harmony with it. Moving on to the next part, let us look into the Indian knowledge systems in water management, a subject that is not only technical but deeply philosophical and cultural. Here again, let me start with a powerful thought from the ancient wisdom. Abo hista mayobhu, that is, water is the source of all happiness and well-being. It tells us something very important. In Indian tradition, water is not just a resource. It is life itself. It is sacred, respected, and to be carefully conserved. In Indian traditional water harvesting legacy, we can always say that there is local and community-owned systems that are low energy, maintained, and sustainable, and policy recognitions also plays an important role. Archaeological evidences from the civilizations like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa shows that water had ritual, cultural, and practical importance. In Vedas also, they are full of hymns that are dedicated to water. In fact, water is often associated with a powerful Vedic deity Varuna, the guardian of cosmic order. The definition of Varuna says that he is the ruler of vast sky and waters. Oceans are his body, and the sky is his domain. This may, in a straightforward manner, look like the definition of a god, a sacred person. But have you ever thought the very principle behind it? It describes the water cycle concept. That is, water starts from the oceans in the form of vapors, reaches the sky, undergoes a condensation, and comes back to the earth. A source, an energy that connects sky to the oceans, which is often represented as deity in Vedas. Again, here we will see the age-old traditions in different places around India. First, we will see the step wells and pools in the Trans-Himalayan and Gujarat region. In Ladakh, melted water is diverted into sinks. Sinks mainly means storage tanks. When the glaciers melt and there is excess of the water, they will be diverted into storage tanks. In Himachal Pradesh, again, similar conditions are seen. Pools that are channeled water to circular tanks. It can around 20 to 30 hectares can be irrigated. In Gujarat, there is a practice of step wells that are dug deep to reach the water table. They are called as wells, which serves as domestic, trade, as well as irrigation needs. Along the Silk routes, they were the cultural landmarks and resting lodges for travelers also. See, water is often connected to travelers, water is often connected to tourism. It never has a single dimensional aim. When we conserve water, it can create multiple levels of impact in persons as well as in the society. It helps in irrigation, it helps in the development of the trade, it serves for the domestic irrigation purpose, and it even helps in tourism. Rajasthan is a place where 5% of India's population, but only 1% visits water. The Gravis promotes traditional methods to combat drought and thardism. The few methods that are used there are Tanka, Nadi, and Bedi. Tanka is actually a cylindrical tank that has a capacity to store nearly 18,000 to 20,000 liters of water. They support a family of 10 for nearly 4 to 6 months. The Gravis has built 5,952 tankas since 1985. Nadis. Against these are the village ponds collecting river water for the entire communities. As per the estimate, we have 253 desilted nadis that are being used locally by materials and voluntary labors. Then comes Beri, an underground percolation well that is used for storing up to 5 lakh liters of water. There are no pumps needed, and we have built, Gravis has built 563 berries sustaining families year round. Rajasthan again has various other systems of water conservation also, namely Khadins, Par, and Sasakwa. Khadins are the temporary lakes that are formed by raising embankments that are called as pulse or doras. They often hold seasonal river water. Now, wet soil, actually when the water is being held, percolation takes place and the soil gets wet. This enables a wheat cultivation in Jaisalmer, impossible without Khadins. Now, there are pass systems. The rainwater flows into the catchment and percolates through the sandy soil and is well accessed via traditional wells, so it's called as squeeze or bales. This well helps in recharging the groundwater table. Then we have Sasakua as a non-mechanized open well using cattle. A cattle will be made to rotate a gear wheel, lifting the water without electricity. These are jointly owned by the adjacent farmers in eastern Rajasthan. In Kerala, we have another system called as Suranga. These are the horizontal tunnels that are dug into the laterite soil to tap the groundwater. No electricity, no pumps, only gravity works. And this is an example of sustainable engineering that is taught in the modern days. In Bihar, there are systems called as AHA pines. Here, the floodwater harvesting system is being done. Pines, called as artificial channels, are fed into ahars or the catchment basin. This ensures equitable water distribution system, prevents floods, and bed doubles as fields for rabi crops. Tamil Nadu, we have Aries and the Nirkatis. That is, Aries irrigate 1/3 of Tamil Nadu's cultivated land. Built with microclimate and ecology in mind, they prevent soil erosion, controls flood, and rejuvenate the water table. As far as the social roles, again, water does not have a single dimension. It has important social roles to play also. Areas are often associated with the temples, making the community self-sufficient and serves as a space for social interaction across the religious and castes. In Kanchipuram district today in Tamil Nadu, they have more than 2,000 areas. Local agrarian communities knew that this was the only way to live in this land by creating enough space for water and making the way for it to flow. Now, Nirgati is a similar one, a community water allocators with a deep knowledge of local hydrology. This ensures high equitable distribution and prevents over-extraction. This also serves as a social arbitrator. Now, we have check dams in Gujarat. The first one, Rich Prem, an NGO built 2,000 plus check dams in Rajkot, and now the communities harvest 3 crops a year. The groundwater and the solid quality has improved significantly. Nala bunds in Rajasthan, embankments across gullies. Where there are runoff and the gullies, there will be embankments provided, hence the total percolation increases. Nearly 12 nala bunds are being raised in Teenwada, the water table raised by 5 meters. One check dam benefited 9 acres and recharged 15 to 16 wells. Then there is the system called as terrace farming. We are all familiar with that system. Hill streams in Meghalaya are channeled across the terraces, and upper slopes grow maize and potato, while the lower slopes grows rice and the jute. And this selection is particularly based on the crop requirement, that is, the base spirit as well as a crop water requirement to ensure nutrition-rich runoff from above. With water conservation, I would also like to present a few sacred water living philosophies that were used in the olden days. Even before the development of the modern day environmental engineering as well as water purification system, we use water purifying them. There was an earlier method called as tamarind and rock salt, which are the eco-friendly alternatives that are used as chemical detergent. They used to protect freshwater ecosystem and reduce the water treatment cost. Storing of water in mudkas. Even now, these are very popular among many parts of India. It's an age-old Indian tradition. Water cools to 10-14 degrees Celsius through evaporative loss via pots, minute pools. No refrigeration was needed those days. The Paniyaru, a sacred water space, was essential part of every Gujarati, with clay or brass pots stored on decorated raised platform and kept sacred with an evening lamp. Even today, modern systems are using various practices adopted from the traditional practices. They help in groundwater recharge, reduce soil, and improve agricultural productivity. Today, we are facing severe water crisis due to over-extraction, pollution, and climate change. Modern systems are alone not enough. We need to go back, not backwards, but back to our wisdom. Indian knowledge system surely teaches us something very simple yet powerful. Things need not be complicated. Sustainability often comes from simple solution. Understand nature, respect it, and start working with it. If water is life, we have to start conserving it, and it is our responsibility. Let me conclude this session with another thought for the day. Ano bhadra pratavo yantu vishwata. Let noble thoughts comes from all direction, and let's accept it wholeheartedly. Thank you all.
Thank you, Miss. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Archana as Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, to kindly deliver the words of thanks. Ma'am, over to you.
If participants have any doubt, they can ask the questions for both the sessions.
Actually, IKS is all about tapping traditional knowledge in various fields. It's rather than we take this particular, I suggest that first this data should be scientifically vetted or technically vetted, because what we get from the field is just information. Before the incorporating into IKS, do we have any mechanism to do a scientific or technical vetting? Because people have contradictory opinions about Vastu and all. So kindly throw light on that.
Good afternoon, all. Hello. Hello, I am audible. Hello. Jeffy Miss. Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Good
Miss.
afternoon, esteemed speaker and dear participants. I take the opportunity to propose a heartfelt vote of thanks to this insightful online FDP on integrated green concession and life cycle assessment. I sincerely thank Ms. Surya M. Nair, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, Jyothi Engineering College, for her enlightening session on the Indian knowledge system, where she discussed climate responsive shelters like the traditional Nalikattu of Kerala and various water conservation practices across different regions. Her presentation effectively highlighted the importance of indigenous knowledge in promoting sustainable development. I also extend my gratitude to the organizers and participants for making this session a great success. Thank you all.
Um, what was the doubt actually in between? We couldn't clearly hear that.
I was asking relating to the IKS. It's actually we are collecting a traditional knowledge from the field level at the field level. Is this particular information before incorporating into IKS? Are we doing any scientific vetting or technical vetting? Because unless if it has to be converted to a level of knowledge, then should be some study backup. So whether such sort of studies are done, or is there any mechanism to do a thorough vetting before being incorporated to the IKS? That's what I asked.
So as of now, many studies are going on, and specifically the ministries. Here, all this data were vetted by India's culture of climate-friendly, sustainable practices. It was given by the government of India. The data was collected from those portals, and basically, and Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Changes, Government of India is carrying out several studies based on that. Now, from the point of view of the engineers, also we have to be more sure before adopting the system. More research is needed. In the earthquake systems, ancient wisdom of in terms of earthquake resilient structure, we have so many studies going as a specific in a specific area in IIT Madras. Such studies are definitely going on. Although it has not reached to a higher level, I think we are in the process of getting there.
Thank you.
Dear participants, as a part of this FTP, we are conducting a mock test on IGBC AP. It will be conducted to help you assess your understanding the sessions. The test will be active from 2:30 p.m. today, and you will receive a test link and notification through your registered email and WhatsApp group. The instructions will be also provided. You can start the test anytime after it becomes active today, and each email ID is allowed to only one attempt. The test will be time bounded, and it will be in an online platform. There will be around 30 questions, and it should be completed within 30 minutes. So we will give you notifications on time. Kindly make sure to attend the test on time. Thank you.
তোমার ওদের 8 hours করে পার ডে